Hi everybody. Where the heck has new Heather been? She's been growing yet another skin and becoming new and improved Heather. And here's what I want to say. I had to actually take a huge break from making content, not because I didn't want to. I wanted to make content. But life be lifin', and some stuff happened that was overarchingly difficult, and it actually forced me to confront trauma, pain, and loss in such a way as I felt completely disingenuous to come on and try to actually make content that would have meaning, because I had to make sense out of situations that presented themselves right when I thought that I had gotten to the next level in the Super Mario Brothers that is dominion over self, especially after leaving what I consider to be a super damaging relationship, and a 20-year one that was not okay for me, not okay for the kid, not okay for the pets. And the net result of that was that I did have to plan and execute on a safety plan, leave my own house, in fact, not have a house to come back to, and try to rebuild while in the middle of what they call a high conflict divorce, which actually doesn't even begin to describe what you go through. When you divorce somebody, I call it turning them into a husband. When you divorce somebody or end your relationship with somebody who has a highly developed public persona, but they're completely different in private and in conflict, and especially when you attempt to exert your will or solve a conflict. In fact, then conflict becomes a full-scale assault. And so in buying my house back after a high conflict divorce, after 2 failed mediations, and going through court with somebody who used court as retribution, what I would like to say is I finally bought the house back, was regrowing my newt-like body. Newts can regrow parts of their eyeball, half their heart, their little newty hands, and even their tail if they have to. And they're orange, so I identify as a newt. This little newt then had a couple more lessons that I guess the universe decided to serve up hot and fresh, because clearly I hadn't unpacked some trauma, and clearly I needed to come to a different place in the going up the levels. And the level that I was at, which was, I thought, a pretty good level, something dropped down. There was, quote unquote, a hidden defect with work done on the house, this house that I worked so hard to get back 3, 4, 19, 20, 21, 22, 4 years after I left it. The loss of my dear friend who housed me when I drove away from home with the kid after boarding the pets under not their name and not my name. So there was devastation, and then that was followed by a little more devastation. It was like the seasoning on top, followed by yet a little more, and it involved house. It involved loss of a person who referred to me as his sister, who I had known for more than 56 years, who I referred back to as my brother. He was my brother from another mother. And then more loss, more devastation, and more issues with my home. I'm going to come back to what's called a hidden defect. And in the lessons that I got about whatever I had to get these additional lessons on, it involved processing and working through trauma and grief. Kitty Cat has a lot to say. He's over there making noise, thinking that I'm going to hop up and go give him some catnip, but I'm not going to. Anyhow, I've been gone a while. It's been a minute. That's what my kid would say. But I'm back. And what I want to say is I did not have words to explain what I was going through. And now I understand that when I feel my most lost and my most frightened and things are terrible, unlike being the usual verbose person who uses 22 words for every one that matters, like Ralph Waldo Emerson, I clam up, I go dark, and I feel completely disempowered. And I would like to state that evidently this is something that requires work. It requires processing and time. I put in the time, I've done a lot of processing, and what I've come up with is that trauma is trauma. And sometimes when you pack it up and you put it in a box and then you put it in a room that you don't go into on the regular, it's still there. It's just in a box, in a room. So I've been continuing to work and continuing to find things out and continuing to feel down and in. And what I've come up with is that yes, my house had a hidden defect. Yes, I had to create greater safety by handling it. And oddly, the moment that I handled it, even more stuff happened. Kitty, just go eat your dinner. He is so loud, but he is so cute and so smart, and we love him. Kitty, go eat. So here's what I'm gonna say. I divorced somebody who had a hidden defect, only I didn't know it. And what I want to let you know is that in processing stuff and in my channel going dark, I'm coming back to you with a different ballast that keeps me level. Even when that thing over there is making noise, I'm not going to yell at him because he's just being a cat. And one of the things I've learned, especially in getting free to be me, is that we have to deal with what we have and what is real. And part of the issue that I had in my 2-decade marriage to somebody that had a public persona that was one way and a private reality that was another, was that I stopped learning to be able to give voice to my experience because I was in shame. I was tremendously disempowered and I didn't even know how to put words to my own experience. And in going down and in figuring it out and in finding my way through, what I realized is, yes, they always say what you resist persists. It's 100% true. Kitty, just go eat your food. I'm actually cooking dinner and he wants to eat our dinner, not his. And by our dinner, what I mean is I'm gonna give the dogs the salmon skin and Kitty knows he's gonna get some salmon. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about the recognition of your true need to be respected, valued, cherished, treated as an equal partner, uplifted by the association and proximity to your partner. And one of the hardest things that I have dealt with as I unpacked what I consider to be complex PTSD from association with somebody who was hell-bent on turning me into a thing and then treating me as if I was their mortal enemy in conflict and then in court and in court proceedings. What I would like to say is that there are various dynamics in relationships. Some you might think are one way, but they're completely the opposite. And for me, figuring out what's real and what's not, and how to actually identify how I feel and to act, has been a huge lesson for me. So with the stuff that went wrong with the house, the loss of my beautiful friend who I loved so much, who I considered to be a brother, who housed me for 21 days when I left my marriage. He housed myself and my child. Losing my friend who I knew for 56 years from what they call nursery school, now it's called preschool. Losing my friend and then going through some health challenges and seeing the result of concussions on my son, then him getting pneumonia, then me getting pneumonia, then me getting mono. It was like a long linear process of unpacking what it means to be present, what it means to face your fears, and what it means to work through and pass to get to another place. In the time that I was doing those things and experiencing things, I did not have the ability to come on and explain why my channel went dark, because I was so down and in, and so in it, and so trying to find my way, that I actually once again could not apply words to it because I did not know how. I have a lifelong ability to unfortunately put my head down, keep going, and not reach out and not actually say, oh, and the things that we do. So the weirdest part is I have 22 words for every one that matters in most cases, just like Ralph Waldo Emerson. But when it comes to my own life and when it comes to managing my stuff, I go down and I go down and I stay down and I get a little stuck. So I faced my trauma. I faced the reality that I was dealing with. I faced people that would lie to me, would cheat me, would steal from me, would ruin things, and would then not be on the up and up, especially in a hidden defect in construction stuff. Long story short, I've learned to advocate better and in a manner that actually allows for the best outcome. But my channel did go dark because I was in it to win it and I didn't know exactly how to operate. So I'm bringing to you a different version of myself that comes from additional experiences sent, I believe, to teach me about seeing what's real and using what's called discernment. And one of the things that we're not taught, especially as women in my age group, I'm 59 and a half, in many cases we are not taught how to advocate for ourselves, what love is and isn't, what is real and what isn't, and how to get help when you need help, especially because the legal system is not set up to even consider certain facets of domestic violence as domestic violence. So getting back to the concept of the hidden defect, I'm going to bring up the Duluth wheel. So I want you to think about what the concept you might have of domestic violence is. And then I would like you to go, if you possibly have email or, computer access, I want you to go to the Duluth, D-U-L-U-T-H model.org, where you can see the Duluth wheel of power and control, and where you can also access other wheels that will help you define for yourself what is. And that would be around gender violence, economic abuse, as in financial abuse, how things really are and what violence really is. Court and certain courts will not take into account things that you know occurred as violence. And the issue is, what is your threshold? What are you willing to put up with? And how are you going to get yourself, your kid, your pets safe? And so what I want to bring up is that in my entire life, which sometimes I feel like I'm 120 and sometimes I feel like I'm 12, I did not understand it was my divine birthright to live as I am doing what I love, loving what I do, loving who I am, and that my inherent preferences, choices, and joys and things that make meaning for me were never, ever, ever going to have to be justified in a love relationship. Why did I not know that? Because I was one of many women, especially like me, who were allied with a person that didn't honor my needs, didn't honor my way of being the way most would. Only I had come from not one but two generations of women who put their head down and just kept going. And if they didn't just keep going, there was going to be hell to pay and there was going to be consequences. So I was indoctrinated from a very early age, even though I was a truth teller and a person who appeared to be present. I learned to stuff it down, to remain quiet, to be attuned to other people, and to understand that if I didn't act a certain way in certain times, there was going to be a consequence. And so when I met the person who I did marry, what I did not know, and what I absolutely didn't have the equipment to know, there was no radar system in me, was that he was really quite capable of the public persona, super able to have that, and it was highly developed over a period of time. And what I did not know was that it was not going to be okay to be me in my own home, in my own marriage, as a wife, as a mother, as a regular old person on the planet. Somehow what I thought was love suddenly became a war zone. But instead of actually understanding what I was dealing with and rallying my army and going full bore to end the war, by whatever means necessary, sometimes a peace treaty, sometimes a little more war back, I did not know what to do. I was trained to remain silent. I was trained to try to handle it. I could not assign words to what I was dealing with. So this is what I want to say. You have the right to recognize your true need to be respected, to be valued, to be cherished, to be treated as an equal partner, uplifted by association is what I call it, and proximity to your partner. What I did not know and what I did not understand was that no amount of me attempting to build a bridge to the person that claimed to love me was actually going to yield what love really is. Oh, Chicha, leave Kitty alone. So, with that said, you come to a place of knowing that you do not deserve the treatment of you as a thing or as someone who brings it on themselves via you. That method of making you the cause and you the focus of their anger, their abuse, and their obliteration of you or the child or the pets in conflicts that they create to put you in a hole. And so it's taken me a while because I have been working on recognizing what is real in the moment and figuring out how to actually operate from a platform of really seeing what's going on. And if you've been indoctrinated to be good, for lack of a better word, nice, to be kind, there's kindness, there is, and there's niceness, and there's goodness, and there's also greatness. And the issue is that many of us, especially of a certain age and from a certain background, we were not recognized to be able to call BS on somebody We were recognized to want love, to think we had it, and to try to create a nice house and a nice life with a nice person. The issue is that when you bring in the wolf in sheep's clothing aspect, you may not know what you're dealing with because you present the same way at home as you do in public. But if you're with what I call a narcissist, they are so far from reality. They are a studied configuration. They are a compilation of information that they take in and process in a certain way so that they can present as normal. And what you may not know, especially when you get involved with the narcissist, is that they are gaming you from the get-go. They are gaming you, they are gaming everybody else, and they are loving pulling the wool over your eyes. And they think it's hilarious when you come to them and you want to communicate. My dog is right here and she's wanting to be petted. So if you see my arm moving, it's petting the dubs. And the problem is that you, as just the regular degular, you don't actually know that your personal Kim Jong or Kim Jong's cute cousin, you don't know that Kim Jong's cute cousin is in fact not able to love you back as you deserve to be loved. And the way I deserve to be loved is the way I talk to my dog, which is like, oh, Darby, I just love you. You are so cute and you are so good. And so I'm gonna ask you to talk to yourself like you would talk to your dog or your cat or your gerbil or whatever you love, whatever little pet you have. And I want you to start understanding that if you've been with somebody who not only didn't honor you, but on purpose obliterated you in private and expected you to maintain silence, that in your learning to maintain silence, you were protecting yourself, and you are not to feel bad, okay? You didn't know what to do, and you actually didn't know what love is or isn't, but I'm here to tell you that love should not be trying to defend yourself against things that somebody else does or says that hurt you, your child, your pets, the relationship, or your sense of safety within your own personal space or with others. And the issues that I had that I did not understand or have the ability to even take in were because I was pre-programmed from the get-go to be somebody who kept their head down and just kept going. And what I know now is it's okay to quit, it's okay to state your needs, and it's okay to take things for yourself. But I had years of indoctrination, and I had a lot of training that was running me like a program. And the issue is when you get allied with somebody who wants you to be a thing, and they want to run the marionette, they want to be the puppet master, they love the fact that you will stay quiet, they love the fact that you're complicit in what's going on by your silence, and they in fact will ratchet it up once you start to get stronger. And so what I want to say is that when I was executing my safety plan, going through processes, I still didn't even have words from my own experience. And it was only after I filed that I even began to learn about the Duluth wheel. And I didn't understand the power over dynamic fully until I went into the parenting classes months after I had filed that were mandated by court. And one of the therapists that spoke was talking about power over dynamics. And I was taking notes and listening and listening and listening. And what I realized is, holy crap, that's what I have. And then I tied all the stuff together and I realized I am smart, I am good, I am great, I am kind, and I am worthy of love. And even though when I looked at the Duluth wheel of power and control, I realized then how much I had been eroded. What I also realized is I was strong enough to get myself up and out without even having words to describe exactly what was going on. So I want you to give yourself credit if you're feeling stuck, and I want you to understand that some of the stuff that is running you is a program that you're not even aware of because it came pre-installed. Like when you get your computer out and you hit the button and it starts up and there's a whole bunch of stuff on it, you're just like that. And so I want you to forgive yourself for what you think you didn't do. And I want you to give yourself permission to know, and I'm gonna write, I have to read what I wrote because it's easier to read it than to try to say it. You can come to a place of knowing that you do not deserve the treatment of you as a thing or as someone who brings it on themselves via the you method of making you the cause and focus. So what I want to say is they create that to put you in a hole. And that erodes your actual safety, your sense of self, and your ability to hold the line. And it really does. So when I talk about blowing up your pretty on the outside life, I'm talking to you. If you are getting punched in the face and scared on the daily, or your kid is, or your pets are, or there are threats against your family members, for example, if they think that you're going to reach out, I want you to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and I want you to get help. And that number's 800-799-SAFE. You can also go on their website if your computer's safe to use, or if you can get to a computer, like you could go to a library. You can actually start a chat with them from their website. And you could text them, and it's 77888. Let me double check that because I forget things. Oh, Dubes, the dog is literally right here because she knows I'm emotional. Oh my gosh. I have so many pages, you guys, since I've been here last. 77888, and then text start. And what that will do is it will give you a line to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Stop it, Darby. Where you can, in fact, start saying some stuff, and a real person on the other side will answer. Since I've been gone, I have pages and pages to share with you. And one of the things that I'm going to say, and then I'm going to sign off and let you start thinking, is you must find the courage to leave the table if respect is no longer being served. Boom, mic drop. And the other thing I want to say is that in the hardest times which I have faced, which when I left my abuser and the abuser of our child and our pets, who will never admit to it in any forum, I filed, I made sure that we were gone. I did everything that I thought I could do right, and guess what? It still went sideways. And the restraining order on joint funds, the order to vacate, and every other order, such as not coming to our workplace when I was there because we had a shared business, every order that the court issued was violated. And what I will say to you is, instead of letting it go into you and wreck you and produce what I call clanking pain, you need to understand that it's proof positive that you did the right thing. And I can and will bring up instances of things and trigger warning. I will give you some details so that you can actually understand and look and hold up what your experience is to the light to figure out what's real for you and what's not. And in many cases, the courts can and will not recognize what abuse is. But the issue is you give yourself permission to do a little extra research. You have places like the Duluth Model.org or Social Workers Toolbox, where you can go and you can read and you can find out what is true for you and what is actually real. And you can learn to hold the line. And curiously, my voice hasn't left me, except when I've come on here to attempt to make content. And what I would like to say is, even if your voice shakes, you keep talking. Okay, I am 6 years out as of 8/5/2025. And it has taken me this entire 6 years to process and act on 20 years with what I call a down low abuser. And that person can and will deny, 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 deflect, deflect, deflect. But what I know now is that I can go forward as me, be in my joy, be in my best form, nourish myself, meet my own needs, and understand that I have my animal friends who literally come right here, right alongside me, and love me unconditionally. And so, my advice to you is talk to yourself the way you would talk to your beloved pet. Let yourself rest when you're tired. If you don't feel like you can explain something, if you don't have words for it, first go in and think about where you are, what's going on, what your responsibility is. And at the end of the day, your responsibility is to heal. Your responsibility is to be present for yourself, present for your child, present for your pets, present in your own life. And if you can't give voice to things, then you go down and you go into it and you flop around until you can give voice to it. So I'm coming back and I'm letting you know that clearly the universe will serve up lessons. And some of the times when we've been allied with somebody who, by choice or design, has eroded away confidence and self-esteem, it's okay because it can come back. And in fact, just like having a load of gravel hauled in, you can get it. You just have to find the right gravel, and then you have to have the right tool to smooth it out. And some of the times that tool is simply time. That tool is holding ourselves in high regard, and that tool is understanding that you can only control yourself. And I used to think I could micromanage the flow of the oceans and the tides. I cannot. I used to think that I had to do everything. And I used to think that love was words, but it's not. Love is a verb, it's action, and it's deed, and it's how somebody treats you when there's no witnesses. And so I just want you to know that if you're going through some stuff and you don't know exactly what to do, it is your divine birthright to be in your joy and to be okay. And if you're not okay, there's resources. For me, at the beginning of my journey, which was long and quite circuitous, I could not even go to the place in our town that had a hotline. I did not feel I could because they were our client at the shared business where I worked with my abuser. And I felt super stuck and I felt disempowered, and it took me a long time to get through that. And what I did was I said to myself, self, what the heck am I doing? I can't just park my car and sit outside of this place. So I did buy myself a track phone in cash, and I put minutes on it using the little card that I bought as a Visa that you can buy in the CVS or the Rite Aid. Put minutes on that card, and I called the place the next town over. And I got a woman, curiously, who literally said, my story is your story, and here's what you need to do. And that was, the phone was my Mother's Day gift to myself in 2019. prior to Mother's Day 2019, in April of 2019, I had gotten a safety deposit box, and I had taken off my wedding rings and I had put them in a safety deposit box because I felt like I want to see if he even notices that I'm not wearing my wedding ring. And guess what? He did not notice. It was hilarious, but not really. And then I had a safety deposit box at a bank we didn't bank at. And let me just tell you, when you start writing down what is said to you, and you have it on sticky notes, or you have it in a little book, or you have it somewhere, if you have a pretty big safety deposit box in a bank you don't bank at with anybody else, maybe a town over where nobody knows you, then you can go in and you can put things in it, and it starts you. And where do you go? Up. And you keep going up and you keep going up, but you have to start. So if you're in trouble and you don't know what to do, if they are especially using intimidation on you and threats of violence, I do want you to call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 800-799-SAFE. And then I want you to think about locally what your resources are, and I want you to think about what your outcome should be as a person that's on this planet to be in your best form. I want you to find a book you like, and I want you to start reading it. And I want you to read for joy and pleasure, to underline it, to write notes, to do whatever you want with that book. But I want you to start to set yourself free so that you can think and you can feel, not necessarily in that order, and act. And you're going to act for yourself, you're going to act for your children or child, your pets, and your family members, but most of all yourself, because you are not on this earth to be a thing, and you are not on this earth to be treated as if you have no value. And the down low abuser is expecting you to be complicit by your silence. They think they have you. Right there. You've handed them the keys to the kingdom by trying to build bridges to them with your words, with your attempt to communicate and your attempt to explain. The only issue is that you think you're talking to somebody who loves you, but in fact you're talking to somebody who has a public persona and then the private reality, which is somebody who's willing to gut you, just to gut you. So just know that everything is possible, and I want you to start thinking about what could possibly go right, okay? And the other thing I'm going to tell you is that you have tools right within your body to learn how to regulate yourself, and that's your parasympathetic nervous system. And how do you learn how to self-regulate? You get present, and one of the easiest ways to do it is touch your own face and feel your own skin. And then if you want to take it one step further, you could literally put your finger in your ear and do little circles, as long as you don't have Cruella de Vil fingernails, and that stimulates your vagus nerve. If you have wicked long fingernails, you take your hands, you put them on either side of your face, and you gently move your ears up and down. And what does that do? It stimulates your vagus nerve, and it begins to move your lymphatic fluid, which carries toxins. You have a dump right underneath your clavicles, your collarbones, and you can rub your subclavian dump, which is literally what they call it in lymphatic cleansing. And you can gently massage your neck, and you can start the flow of toxins out of your body by upping your water game. Drink half your body weight every day in good filtered water. Move your body. Vibrate down into your body by humming like an old Tibetan monk. And you can go online, and I want you to look up things like tuning forks, singing bowls, chakra cleanses, healing vibrations, and chakra vibrations. They're a site by this really cool guy who plays beautiful singing bowls at very specific levels of hertz that will clear your chakras. And one of the things you may have by association with somebody who's super toxic to you and a secret Kim Jong is that your body might need to be detoxified. And you have to start somewhere. You start with the free stuff and the easy stuff. Use YouTube, look up Les Carter, Dr. Ramani, R-A-M-A-N-I, Dr. Lisa Romano. These are people that really know what's going on. Les Carter is ending his daily content, but he has years and years of content, and he is amazing. And he tells it like it is, and he is an expert, as is Lisa Romano, as is Dr. Ramani. Romano is spelled like cheese. So just take yourself seriously, give yourself permission to be okay, and start. In the meantime, what do I always say? I say, love yourself, baby. And you have to, because when you love yourself, then it goes outward and you will be able to be filled back up. And your love will be mirrored back by people that merit your love. And in talking to yourself as if you would talk to a beloved pet, you create in yourself a sense of calm that comes from receiving, and we are all worthy of receiving. So I'm going to be back, and I do have a lot to say. And just remember what I said. You must find the courage to leave the table if respect is no longer being served. If my content helps you, like it, subscribe if you feel safe doing that, share it if you feel safe doing that, and most of all, make sure that your devices are safe and you're not being tracked, because as you go forward attempting to execute on a safety plan, at the end of the day, the word is safety. So I want you to have that, okay? All right, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.